Today, we have other valuable panelists. The topic of this very panel is partnerships in the defense industry, requirements, barriers, and success factors. And I'd like to invite the moderator of this panel, the head of Industrialization Secretariat of Defense Industries, Mr. Tolga Sayın. The floor is yours, sir. We have very valuable panelists. Dr. Murat Aslan, Deputy General Manager for Supply Chain Management at Aselsan. Our second panelist is Deputy General Manager for Supply Chain and Logistics at Roketsan, Halit Bulut, and our other panelist is Serdar Özpolat, Head of Procurement and Industrialization, TUSAŞ. And our final panelist is Ertuğrul Akan, Baykar Procurement Unit Manager. Ertuğrul Akan. Okay, the floor is yours, sir. Welcome. We have spent 4 days together with professionals, 1,500 local and remaining international, and 203 new products. You know, we have spent very busy 4 days, and today is the 5th day of the fair with public opening. And I have seen the excitement in the eyes of the children with their families in the fair. The topic of the panel is the strategic partnership, and we really attach great importance to the young people, and we are trying to motivate them. Our strategic partners are walking in the corridors, and we will give the future to their hands when time comes. In line with our defense industry vision, for about 25 years ago, we started with offset, and with the products that we buy from abroad, we wanted to have technology transfer, the joint manufacturing. We tried to have some competencies, then we came up with some original products. That was the beginning of the journey. Right now, we are exporting at about $10 billion to 180 countries, and we are in a leadership position in İHA, SİHA, and we can export to Western countries like Kaan, Hürjet, Hürkuş, TB2. You know, we have numerous Anka, and Roketsan's air defense, missile, wellness defense systems, etc. We are in a position that we are all proud of. I have been working in this sector for over a decade, and I had a chance to witness this history, and we did our best to contribute to its development. I'd like to cut it short. We will have 2 rounds in the panel. The first one is the strategic partnership. They're companies, very valuable companies. Here, these companies are working in a very good ecosystem. And in terms of the sustainability of today's efforts, and the procurers, what they need to do to become good partners. I'd like to start with Murat Bey. Murat Bey, could you please brief me about what is the point of Aselsan in such developments? Thank you very much. We have very valuable panelists and guests here. The synergy here is unique. And I saw people having meetings at 8, 9 p.m. here in this fair. I have been in this sector for 21 years. I participated in the first fair and I had a chance to observe the evolution of Saha. And I think we should all be proud of it. Such fairs are showing us how the ecosystem is evolving. "85 to 90% of them are constituted by the companies in the ecosystem. So I would like to thank for this opportunity. I'd like to give some real examples. From Aselsan's perspective, let me comment on the developments. In 2018, we started a project with an amateur spirit. We bought products from abroad. We created brochures, and we are buying these brochures from abroad. And can you manufacture them? We asked the companies about them. We tried to filter them with our own team, and the content was prepared by our colleagues. And with the brochures, we went to the companies and we started to make them produced locally. We had B2B meetings with the companies. Our development and the development of the field went together. After a short while, we had our first output. During this nationalization, localization project, we continued to work together, and we set up an online platform which is called as Gücümüz Bir. And for Aselsan, we created a methodology to create a brochure, and the sector chairman, they are also involved within the process, and we made it more systematic. And since then, these localization efforts, as a result of it, 1,000 product was given the award, and we also awarded the exporter companies as well. So this is where we are now. The 1,000 product, we reached that. 1,000 products, what does it mean? $2 billion purchase, stayed in the country, and 10% of it, 10% of cost saving, because we could produce them in a cheaper way. And besides that, these companies create brands with these products. And they created a brand value, and they're now exporting those products. So it is making us very happy to see the current situation, and it motivates us. We organized an award ceremony. We awarded the companies which started to export the products that we developed together. We wanted to have more added value. Those companies, making those products a brand and export them. We are proud of it. We have very valuable managers here. We have reached to 80%. Now 20% might be low, but high technology localization is awaited. We need to have more systematic efforts in that regard. Our ecosystem, which had that amateur spirit in the beginning, will be able to solve it all together. The presidency is supporting us hugely in that regard. And we now know whom to support, what to support. We can make it meaningful. These numbers can tell us the whole story, and it gives us the new roadmap. With the pictures we have taken from this process, we also continue to work deeper, and with this interaction, our defense ecosystem is going to develop more and more, and we would like to have full independent defense industry. And I'm sure that the other companies and the subcontractors will cooperate, and I think this fair means a lot as well. Thank you very much. Halit Bey, you organized an event with the strategic partners, and many valuable companies were added to your list. And what is the current situation in Roketsan? Thank you very much, Mr. President. We have been very active in the field with our customers and procurers in the fair. It showed us that Turkish defense industry is not only buying products, it is also designing the products and selling products to various geographies. And Roketsan is one of the big actors of this sector, and we have been exerting great efforts. I'm sure our procurers noticed that. The conjuncture is asking a lot from us. It's not possible to live in a stable environment because it is very dynamic and it creates lots of opportunities. Therefore, the resilience of the sector and the resilience of the companies have pivotal importance in the success. And Roketsan is having 50% of growth every year. Last year, our turnover was $2 billion, and the ecosystem in total $2.5 billion, and 80 to 85% of it is earned from valuable companies, Turkish companies of defense industry. Here we are talking about strategic business partners. There's business, we are here acquiring something, and these companies have export facilities. Now we started to serial product. The resilience is the most critical matter. What does it mean? We need to be resilient for high demands, we need to be flexible, and we need to be able to meet the needs and the demands. We should not miss any opportunity. As Roketsan, we are following the production of the products. We are trying to improve them, the resilience and the business continuity, the flexibility, agility, end-to-end visibility, digital traceability, and stress tests. Years ago, many foreign companies applied it, and now Turkish defense industry should put themselves subject to the stress test, and they need to take necessary precautions for the weak points. The conjuncture, the big numbers will come in that area, and during the international contacts we had for 5 years, our Turkish defense industry products, as long as they are produced, they can be sold. Therefore, our only missing point is the serial production, and as of 2023, we started to produce serially and some kind of missiles, torpedoes, under the sea torpedoes, and our expectations from suppliers changed accordingly. We would like to have procurers, and we would like to have them in an ecosystem. That's why we need to approach strategically. My success depends on you and on your development and on your performance. Therefore, it depends on the companies with the big actors and to the smallest workshop. Aselsan, Roketsan, TUSAŞ, Baykar, they organize projects, and we focus on the betterment of the procurers. We need to have serial production, continuously developing ecosystem, and resilient. We have to create such an ecosystem. Israel-Iran war, the Gulf issues, etc., it puts pressure on us because of the domestic customers and the international customers, because export matters to us. The whole income that we get out of export is used for the R&D. R&D is quite expensive, but our profitability from export creates budget for the R&D, and the demands of the defense industry have to be met by us. It's our biggest responsibility, and the vision that we have here, we hope that we will be more successful by that approach, and I would like to thank you once again. I hope I gave the right messages.
Thank you very much. In the new era, you were talking about serial productions. Indeed, the capacity targets are very much important. You were talking about also about your supplies, etc. These are the subjects that are always in our agenda. Mr. Serdar, as for TUSAŞ, would you please make an introduction for yourself? I'd like to thank you very much. I also would like to give you information about this expo. Each and every year, the expo is growing, and in the last 3-4 days, we have been talking with our suppliers, and we are making the necessary strategies for that, and that's why I would like to thank all the organizers. As TUSAŞ has been said, Gökbey, Hürjet, Kaan, all of them is at about 70 or 60% local. And for materials or for installments mounting, there are 3,000 companies that are working in that area. We are supporting those companies. In aviation, We also are in contact with 250 or 300 companies. That's the reason why we have a localization branch who are going to those companies in order to understand the necessities and how they can work together. And there's also a scoring from that you can do for the local companies under the website of Ministry of Industry. Which brings us to the case that we also, I have to say that we also give the necessary trainings to our related companies as well. There was more than 1 billion of export that has happened last year. And with all these numbers, we want to see more of local suppliers as well. But as you know, the sector is harsh. The investment that you make today is not met immediately, so the return of investment is not that easy to get if you're looking for an easy return. But we have a lot of tolerances that we are working on, and we try to keep up with them, and we're working with so many companies together, and that's why I'd like to thank you. In the beginning of my speech, I forgot to underline it. The Ministry of Industry, of course, is growing each and every day, but of course there are plenty of companies that want to be involved in this system. And we have a program for the companies, and we also have a booth here. And I had the opportunity to observe it. I can see that there are so many people who want to get into the defense industry and their ecosystem. They really would like to learn what type of a role they can play. And now we try to also license those companies, and we have a program for that. Baykar is exporting to 40 different countries their products, and I'm sure that there are so many companies that want to work with you. And would you please explain how the companies are looking to the matter? First and foremost, thank you very much. As for the Fair Expo, I'd like to thank all the organizers. Since Tuesday, we are assessing many companies' wishes for working together. I just want to be talking a little bit about the concept. As for strategic partnership is a little bit different. It's quality, the due date, scalability, crisis, resilience. So it's a very long-term ability. And while we are making strategic incorporations, not only are we dealing with procurement, we are looking for a more broader matter. We're developing countries' defenses, and critically to be sovereign and in liberty and independence. These are the things that are very much important from our point of view. And hence the case is a process where the capacity or capability is constructed and sustainability is prevailed. I'd like to give you some data. As my friends said, on 2025, our total procurement was more than $100 million, and they were made from 25 independent companies. 60% And 40% of our sources, 60% of our sources are local, and 40% of our sources are coming from abroad. As for side industry, between 2000 and 2024, twofold, and later on from 2000 to 2024, there has been a two folds, and last year there was an actual 3-4 folds of increase. On 2026, we are already reaching to our 2025 volumes. So when it's oriented properly, when there's a trustworthy work, we can talk about a very strong industry here, but we need to make here a differentiation. We shouldn't only think about a nationalist and local products. For instance, a local product doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be like that. Everything should be done here and can be realized also in abroad. That's our approach. Now, within the defense industry and with very big volumes, this is what we're working in, and the needs are constantly changing. The feedback that are coming from the field, it changes in engineering, plant shipments. So it's a very dynamic world. In such a world, of course, a classical approach is not possible. We need to be more agile and more scalable, and a long-term partnership is necessary. And of course, within this development, there are some certain hardships as well. Human resources and scalability, quality documentation, term due date disciplines. These are the basic, actually, difficulties that our companies have. Some companies can be very successful with low volumes, but in order to have the best quality in defense, you need to have a different kinds of maturation here. And the supply is not only supervising, but we need to actually find a way to actually broaden the rope. A long-term, we need to actually determine when the shipment is going to be made, the technical issues and objective parameters have to be handled. Besides, with a long-term actual partnership is very much important in that manner. Another thing here is the common ideal. In the defense industry, the partnership is not only a commercial one. In one area, each product, every spare part, every shipment is contributing to our independency. And we should regard this as a part of a whole. That's the reason why the strategic partnerships are seen here as the pillar of the skeleton. So we need strong quality culture. This defense step not only is proving itself today, but also in the world. Baykar is not only trying to meet the needs, but on the other hand, we try to create our own defense industry and be sustainable. Thank you. I'd like to thank you, Mr. Ertuğrul. I'd like to reiterate strategic partnership, a long-term capability partnership is very much important in that manner. The defense sector is not the sector where you can enter and get out anytime you want. So in long term and with patience, you can really get more than you were expecting from it. You were also talking about a long-term demand, and a long-term demand has to be made, you said, and this is the period has come yet. When we take a look to the projects, we can see the projections for the future, for the next coming few years. And in our strategic partnership in order to create that transformation. If there is an opportunity, it can be an increase of capacity, for instance. I believe this is the right time, it's the right opportunity. Let me pass on to the second round. Let's talk a little bit about sustainability. And we need to be growing based on export, even though there is a great amount of procurement going on here. In the end of the day, it is the institutions, public institutions in general, that are making that procurement all around the world. So in order to be sustainable, we are talking about dual utilization, growing based on exports. And from the point of view of today's agendas, I told you before, 25, 30 years ago, there were demands on offset. Now, within the context of the exports that we do, we're talking about we are the ones who are bringing offset demands as a country that is owning these products. Besides, this also creates collaboration with different countries. For instance, Baykar has partnerships again in many areas, etc. So in the second round, let us go a little bit over this matter. So as for Aselsan, within this context, is there anything that you would like to say from your context? Well, actually, you have really triggered an important point. If I have to talk about an analogy for where we started and where we are right now. And I always check out the strategy documents. And the first ones, it was when you're buying something from abroad, then you had also an offset conditions. You're putting offset conditions so that they are buying from our countries as well. At least I'm buying this foreign product, but you have to buy from me too. So that was actually a right process. So from that day onwards today, if I have to give a real example, the Poland export for electronic harp, in order to close our own offset burden, we try to understand what we can get from there, which is important. In our ecosystem, of course, we can meet the needs, but from which one? So we try to create some certain analysis and optimizations in order to get the best of the outcome. I believe that this is very much important. Then again, if you are working together with foreign companies, sometimes we are winning actually these tenders with the shipments that we're making and also the ecosystem's power. And finally, we can bring up the fact that we are strong and what can we evaluate on an ecosystem. And we're searching for companies from abroad, and that the companies are not only purchasing these products, but also they become candidates to transfer our technology, which actually shows the level of our technology. It's a good reference rather than having a theory with real examples. I'm sure there are many other companies that have these real numbers as well, but I believe that this is very valuable so that we can actually grab the largeness of this. And we say that the numbers are really big. The volume was $5 billion last year in Aselsan, and This year it's even more. And when we say 20% of this, there's a $20 billion of a volume which is bought from abroad. And the collaboration should be managed and optimized in a most effective way. And that's the reason why when we take a look to the matter from the ecosystem point of view, then we need to make the localization perfectly, which is also an important indicator of our success. And on the other hand, in the raw material flow, there is a problem as for price, and on the other hand, the way you can find it, whether you find it or not. And on the other hand, because we are in the defense sector, there are end user documents and a lot of export documentations, and it becomes quite complex, and that has to be managed in a proper manner. But with all the contracts that we have signed and with the performance of our of the beneficiaries, for instance, I believe the exports this year is going to rise even more than compared to last year. And the ecosystem that should be developed and the optimization has to be realized within Turkey and outside of Turkey. I believe this is a critical equilibrium. This is all I can say for the time being. Thank you very much. When we talk about exports, our side industry, our SMEs, they have to have actually product. Then they have the opportunity to directly make export. And design is important, of course. And our main beneficiaries should also promote them outside. If it's offset, then they can actually create some certain joint ventures with their capabilities. The more we increase the footprint, the better. So it will definitely contribute to our future. And as for Roketsan, you have strategic car partnerships. If I can learn a little bit from that too. Sure. And when we take a look to the matter from the Turkish defense industry, international collaboration is inevitable. Of course, in the industry, there's a dynamism. And this is actually triggering us to find new markets. Maybe I should give you a few examples which can also bring you to a conclusion. Roketsan has two active JVs. One is Azerbaijan, the other one is Indonesia. Both of them, at the end of the day, wants to produce products as Tier 1 or Tier 2 in Azerbaijan and Indonesia. In Azerbaijan, this field would actually create ammunitions and design ammunitions for the Azerbaijani. And of course, there's things that we need from them, and that's the reason why we need to make collaboration. We bring up our experiences and convey that experience to them. And we also have an ecosystem here, and we can create the transfer of this ecosystem over there too, because each country matures a certain project and then transfers it. They're very actually keen to do it. And our experiences becomes a solution to a demand. In Indonesia, for instance, we have a lot of demands going on. Taking a look to offset, of course, it's positive for the buyer, but negative for the seller, because the seller has to find different kinds of resources, which brings up the case of different costs.
We would have question marks if it had been with offset contracts. Is it possible to talk the same language in terms of infrastructure with the respective country? But right now we discuss these matters before going to the related country. We participated in a fair in Saudi Arabia. We took 15 companies with us. We took 15 procurers together with us to Saudi Arabia, and we brought them together with the officials of that country. We want to sell product to you. We would like to produce products with you, and we would like to set up the ecosystem with you. How does it happen? That company should come, set up the country or a joint venture, or company can come and say that along with the JV and the rep office, they can manage the operations. What does it provide to the customer? I'm not just a taker. I'm also learner. Rather than the import, I am creating an ecosystem with the export. And they need to manage the agenda in their own country as well, with the employment ecosystem and high manufacturing capacity are also established in the respective country. As Roketsan with $2 billion turnover, $750 million export through Baykar to Saj, tens thousands of ammunition can be produced by us. We have that capacity. We need to believe in international cooperations, and of course, at the same time, we need to focus on our own agendas as well. We need to be open for other cultures. High quality, low cost, and flexibility are the advantages of our products. These products have been tested in real war. Therefore, the customers would trust such products and they would be willing to make the investment in that product. Our presidency of the defense industry is always guiding us. Yeah, we have to have contracted sales in certain markets, but the countries with big defense industry needs like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, European countries, I got surprised in this fair a lot, and I would like to thank to the field officials. This is my third time. In the past, for example, from which we import, we would take the first step to meet, but 1 month ago, they asked to have a meeting with us. What does it show? International companies notice the importance of the defense industry level maturity of Turkey. Of course, our priority is you, local companies, and I hope that in the days to come, with strong Turkey vision, we will increase the export and we will bring more export income to our country. Thank you very much. Yes, international cooperations should be considered as an opportunity for our ecosystem. We should not neglect that part. The OEMs, the SMEs, along with the main contractors, they need to act together, and if we can have regional strategies in those countries and have cooperations, then it will increase our export numbers, it will contribute to the sustainability, everything, in an indirect fashion. Sardar Bey, let's continue with you. Hürriyet, Kaan, they are big successes in terms of Hürjet, export to Spain, etc. We can export it right now before taking the inventory. I think it shows the clear trust to Turkish defense industry. From what is the perspective of TUSAŞ? Thank you very much. We built our prototype planes and Melness planes as well. Now we are going to proceed with the serial production. Yes, it's challenging, but we will overcome it. In the upcoming decade, we are planning to grow by 3 times. We will have air platform plane and many global ecosystems are asking for good quality, yes, but they'd like to see strategic partnership and they'd like to have trust-based relations with the companies. And within this scope, both Europe, Africa, Asia, we have strategic partners. In España, for Hürjet purchase, for example, 49% of the shares we have, we married to a Spanish company. In Germany, we have all the shares, say Hamburg company. For Airbus and other local companies, they are producing rudders and other parts. Besides that, in Indonesia, we made the sales of Kaan, but before that, in Indonesia, engineering and technical service provider company, they develop businesses. Similarly, in Pakistan, we have an engineering company. In Malaysia, technical companies. They are working and supporting the ecosystem along with the companies there. Our partnership in Pakistan, our Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, they support our other partnerships. We make sales to African countries as well, and we are now talking about strategic partnerships in Africa as well. Saudi Arabia, in that country as well, we have strategic partners. It is important to support a global ecosystem. We have $50 billion backlog for the export in 10 years of time. Of course, we can't do it on our own, and we will get the support of our strategic partners from other countries. It's of great importance to cooperate with them. Thank you very much. Ertuğrul Bey, let's continue with you. When we say Baykar and export, you're exporting to various countries and you have a huge export volume. Your strategic partners, your ecosystem in the countries that you're active. What do you think about it? What's your strategy in that regard? What are the opportunities? What are the requirements? We are exporting to 40 countries, and most of our income comes from export. And of course, we do have strategic partners. We had some initiatives, and we are shareholders in some companies. But I would like to attract your attention to another point. In terms of strategic partnerships, we would like to benefit from global skills, but we would like to have the control and independency in our hands. Electronic components, spatial alloys, sensor technologies, from aviation standards, logistic networks. We are in an international ecosystem. Right now, it can't be managed by one single company or one single country. We need to know where to use the local resources, where to partner with the others. From Baykar's perspective, 40% of our trade volume is for exports, and we have about 1,000 companies. We have 5,000 procurers, not operationally, but strategic management is what we adopted. We have certain targets for foreign partnerships, critical technology and access to special skills for some raw materials or electronic systems or testing facilities. Some countries are more able than the others. We would like to have sustainable relations with them, and the resilience of the supply chain is also very important. As you know, pandemic, regional wars, and some other supply issues in the semiconductor materials. Supply chain cannot be managed only on the basis of the price, but accessibility, license risk, country risk, delivery, confidence, trust. We need to be having one approach. In defense industry, export is not limited to make sales. Maintenance, spare parts, field support, local manufacturing, operational support are the other parts. So foreign strategic partnerships are not only about the procurement. We need to have permanent and trust-based relations with our international partners. There is one very sensitive point. International partnership should not turn into uncontrolled dependency. While procuring a product from abroad, we should check whether it is critical. Is there any alternative, any export license required? Maybe it can be used locally, and we need to check the accessibility to the technical data. If we don't ask these questions and export it anyway, it might create long-term risks. In the business partnerships, we have some challenges: export licenses and the control regimes. Sometimes procuring company, even if they are willing to sell the product, the authority approval of the relevant country is important. Geopolitical developments, might change the situation when technical transparency is limited. So the process sovereignty might be hindered, and it results in bad maintenance. Therefore, in international partnerships, we need to be more selective. We should think more analytically, and it should be long-term. Some companies might be only the procurer company, but we need to create stronger relations with some others. A product that we import, if it is going to be produced locally tomorrow, then this topic has to be put into the roadmap. It is not an alternative to the localization. It's a complementary part of the localization. National technology breakthrough is not close to the world. We know the world, we see the competition. We are aiming at standing on our own 2 feet in the time of crisis. We need to take our country to a level that can compete with the other countries. As a result, strategic business partners are tools for us. Technology accessibility, global competition, We need to be focusing on them, but we should not forsake the independency target of ours. Thank you very much. You really touched upon very important points. When we say strategical partnership, of course we need to be focusing on the critical technology transfer. Like 25-30 years ago, nobody was sharing their technology back then. And you need to be continuing, you need to have cooperation, of course. We underline the importance of the resilience of the supply chain, and we try to do our best to talk about these matters, and I would like to thank to our panelists. We are coming to the end of our panel. Maybe one or two questions. Apart from that, I will adjourn the panel. One question.
İsmim Hüseyin Yakar.
Hüseyin Yakar.
Teknolojiyi dışarı verirken
While I'm selling this technology,
bizde kalıyor mu yoksa
do we keep the information,
aynı şeyi veriyor muyuz?
confidential information? Yes, that's what I wanted to underline. Technology transfer has to be handled carefully. Of course, the critical part is not shared. Of course, we will have the control. But sometimes, in order to complete the cooperation, so we are working sensitively on that.
Hızlıca şöyle bir şey söyleyeyim. Ülkemizde bu işlere karar veren sadece şirketler değil.
It's not up to the companies. The ministry, the presidency, they are regulating the issues. Before selling or transferring something to another company, they are checking them. And technology is not a stable thing. It's always changing. Therefore, something which was critical yesterday becomes something ordinary today.
Bugün arayüzü dediğimiz sensör teknolojisi
The technology is changing. So critical things might lose their criticality. It's dynamic. It's also audited by certain authorities, and they decide accordingly.
Engeller demeyelim de dışsallıklar bizim uluslararası işbirlikleri yapmamıza ne engel ne de bizi bu manada korkutabilir.
So, as long as we manage the technology, international cooperations are of great importance for us. State is regulating the processes, what we are going to share, what we are not going to share, everyone. So everybody evaluates the process.
Çok teşekkür ederim.
Thank you very much.
Bütün şirketlerinize ülkemiz için yapılan konuşuyoruz.
Çok sağ olun.
Thank you.
Sağ olun. Son sözü size verelim. Sizi de kırmayalım. Buyurun lütfen.
I would like to thank to the panelists. I just want to thank you.
Gayrı
Thank you very much.
panelimizin sonuna geldik. Teşekkür ediyorum. Sağ olun.
Evet değerli konuklarımız, savunma sanayimizin çok kıymetli yöneticileri bugün panelistler olarak aramızdaydı. Moderatörümüze, tüm panelistlerimize çok ama çok teşekkür ediyoruz Saha 2026'ya yaptıkları katkılardan dolayı. Ve bugünün anısına anı objelerimiz olacak. Takdim etmek üzere Saha İstanbul Genel Sekreter Yardımcımız Sayın İlker Özkan'ı davet ediyorum. Bugünün anısına bir de toplu hatıra fotoğrafı rica ediyoruz sizlerden. Lütfen. Alkışlarınız değerli panelistlerimiz için. Ve kıymetli katılımcılar, size de çok çok teşekkür ediyoruz. Geldiniz, katıldınız. Sağ olun, var olun.